The Atlantic stretched endless and gray, a restless expanse under a sky heavy with clouds. I, Nora Callahan, a 37-year-old maritime historian turned freelance investigator, stood on the deck of a weathered salvage boat, staring at the looming silhouette of the SS Elysium, the abandoned cruise ship, once a floating palace of luxury, now listed slightly to starboard, its hull streaked with rust and barnacles. It had been discovered adrift off the coast of Bermuda 3 weeks ago, a ghost ship with no crew, no passengers, no explanation. My editor at Oceanic Enigmas had jumped at the story, sensing a viral hit. "Get me the truth behind that ship," he'd said, his voice crackling over a spotty call. "People love a mystery, but don't get lost in it." The salvage crew, a grizzled bunch led by Captain Torres, was skeptical. "Place gives me the creeps," Torres muttered, spitting over the rail. "No one's been aboard since it was found. Last log was just vanished." I adjusted my backpack, camera, notebook, recorder, flashlight, and boarded the Elysium via a rickety gangway. The deck was slick with algae, teak warped from years of neglect. Glass doors to the grand atrium hung shattered, swaying in the sea breeze. Stepping inside, the air was stale, thick with mildew and something acrid, like burnt wiring. Chandeliers dangled, their crystals dulled, casting jagged shadows in the dim light filtering through grimy skylights. I'd researched the Elysium before coming. Launched in 1995, it was a jewel of the Celestial Cruise Line, boasting 2,000 passengers, a casino, 3 pools, and a theater. Its final voyage, October 2003, was a routine Caribbean circuit. Then, silence. No distress call, no wreckage, no bodies, just gone, until now. My boots echoed on the marble floor, each step a violation of the eerie quiet. I started in the atrium, where a grand staircase spiraled upward, its gold banisters tarnished. Guest books lay open on a reception desk, pages yellowed, entries stopping abruptly on October 12, 2000. Mr. and Mrs. Langley, Suite 4112. Anniversary trip. I snapped photos, the flash harsh against the gloom. A faint hum vibrated through the floor, almost imperceptible, like a distant engine. But the ship was dead, wasn't it? Curiosity pulled me toward the dining hall, a cavernous space with tables still set, silverware glinting under dust. Plates held remnants of meals, petrified bread, moldy smears of sauce. A wineglass lay shattered, red stains pooling on the tablecloth. I scribbled notes, my hand unsteady. Who leaves dinner mid-bite? The crew's quarters were next, down a narrow corridor lined with peeling paint. Bunks were unmade, personal items scattered, a watch, a dog-eared novel, a child's stuffed bear. In the chief steward's cabin I found a logbook, its final entry chilling. October 13, 2000. Strange lights in the water. Crew reports hearing voices. Captain insists it's fatigue. Voices. I pocketed the logbook, my pulse quickening. Growing up in Maine, I'd been raised on tales of ghost ships, vessels cursed to wander forever. My mother, a lighthouse keeper, spoke of lights that weren't buoys, voices carried on the wind. At 16, I'd seen something myself, a flickering glow off the coast gone when I blinked. It drove me to study maritime history, chasing answers to the unexplainable. Now, standing in the Elysium's bowels, I felt that same unease, like I was being watched. The ship groaned, metal settling, or so I told myself. I moved to the engine room, descending creaking stairs into darkness. My flashlight caught glints of machinery, rusted but intact. Pipes dripped, the sound echoing like a metronome. A clipboard hung on a wall, its papers brittle. Maintenance log, October 10, 2003. Unidentified interference in navigation systems, source unknown. I shivered. The air colder here, though the ship was miles from any ice. Backtracking, I explored the passenger cabins, doors ajar, revealing snapshots of interrupted lives. A suitcase spilled silk dresses, A journal lay open. October 11. The stars look wrong tonight. Too bright, too close. Another. October 12. Singing from the water. No one else hears it. My breath caught. Singing? I recalled a Bermuda Triangle theory, electromagnetic anomalies, rogue waves. But this felt different, personal. In a luxury suite, I found a photo album, faces smiling under faded Polaroids. One image stopped me. A group on deck, the ocean behind them glowing faintly green. An illusion, maybe, but it matched the steward's strange lights. Dusk was falling, the ship's shadows lengthening. I set up camp in the ballroom, its mirrored walls reflecting my lantern's glow. Crystal sconces hung crooked, and a stage held a dusty grand piano. I tried a key. The note was sour, echoing into silence. Sleep was impossible. The logbook's words gnawed at me, and that hum persisted, now joined by a faint scratching, like claws on metal. I told myself it was rats, but my flashlight found no tracks. My mother's stories resurfaced, sailors lured by siren songs, ships swallowed by the sea's hunger. At midnight, a thud echoed from above. Grabbing my flashlight, I climbed to the upper deck, heart pounding, nothing but empty lounges and overturned deck chairs. Then, a flicker in the distance, green light pulsing beneath the waves. Not a reflection. Not a buoy. I recorded it, my voice shaking on the tape. Back in the ballroom, I read more of the logbook. The steward Elias Morrow detailed escalating strangeness. Crew insomnia, passengers sleepwalking toward the rails, equipment failing without cause. October 13, 2003, Captain ordered a course change. Says the voices told him where to go. My hands trembled. A course change to where? Research notes I'd brought mentioned the Elysium's last known position, deep in the triangle. No land nearby. Yet here it was, intact. I needed more. The captain's quarters were locked, but a fire axe broke the door. Inside, charts were pinned to walls, red X's marking a spiral pattern in the ocean. A journal lay on the desk. Captain Daniel Voss's handwriting frantic. They're in the water. They want us. I see them in my dreams, eyes like stars, hands reaching. I froze. A shadow moved in the corner, or did it? My flashlight swept the room empty, but the air felt heavier, like it was watching. I grew up skeptical, trained to seek facts, but the Elysium was unraveling. That my mother's death 5 years ago, swept off her lighthouse in a storm, had left me chasing her mysteries. Was this ship her final warning? Morning brought no relief. The hum was louder, vibrating in my bones. I headed to the navigation bridge, hoping for answers. Consoles were dark, screens cracked, but a radio crackled faintly, emitting static that almost formed words. I turned it off, unnerved. A log entry read, October 14, 2000, crew mutiny. They say I'm compromised. I hear the song clearest now. Mutiny? No bodies had been found. I explored the theater, its velvet seats moldy, stage curtains tattered. A prop room held costumes, but also a locked chest. Prying it open, I found tapes, security footage. I rigged my portable battery to a dusty monitor and played one. Grainy images showed passengers dancing, then stopping, staring at the ocean. Some climbed the rails, faces blank, and jumped. No screams, just silence. The tape cut out. My stomach churned. Mass suicide? Or something pulling them? The hum grew insistent, now a low chant. I followed it to the lowest deck, a maintenance area flooded ankle deep. My flashlight caught carvings on the walls, spirals, eyes, hands reaching upward. At the end, a sealed hatch, rusted but intact. The chant was loudest here, almost words. Come, join. I hesitated. Every instinct screamed to leave, but I'd come for truth. Using the axe, I broke the hatch open. Beyond was a cargo hold, vast and dark, the air thick with salt and decay. In the center, a pool of water glowed green, pulsing like a heartbeat. Objects floated in it: watches, shoes, a child's toy, suspended, defying gravity. I stepped closer, mesmerized. Visions hit: passengers wading into the sea, smiling, eyes glowing green. A voice, not mine, whispered in my mind, "Stay." I stumbled back, heart racing. Shapes moved in the water, humanoid, fluid, with star-like eyes. Not human, not alive in any way I understood. I ran, the chant chasing me, louder, angrier. Back on deck, the green light followed, rising from the ocean, encircling the ship. I sprinted for the gangway, but it was gone. Taurus's boat had left. Panic clawed at me. I hid in a lifeboat, clutching the logbook, the tapes, my camera. The chant faded, but the light pulsed outside, searching. Hours later, dawn broke, the light gone. Torres returned, claiming engine trouble had forced them back. I didn't believe him. His eyes darted too much. Back on land, I wrote the story. The Elysium was towed to a shipyard, but no one would board it. My article detailed the logs, the tapes, the carvings. Experts called it mass delusion, a triangle anomaly. But readers sent emails, dreams of green water, voices calling. I burned the tapes, afraid of what they held. The Elysium sits in dry dock, silent but not empty. I see it in my sleep, those eyes watching. The sea keeps its secrets, and I wonder if I escaped at all. The ship's atrium was a cathedral of decay, its skylights cracked, letting in slivers of gray light. Tables in the dining hall held stories, a half-eaten cake, candles melted into wax pools. The crew's quarters smelled of despair, personal items frozen in time. A locket in one bunk held a photo of a woman, her smile haunting. The engine room was a maze of pipes, rusted but eerily warm, as if the ship still lived. My mother's tales echoed as I moved. Ships vanishing, crews lost to the deep. The passenger cabins were worse, luggage open, clothes scattered, lives interrupted. A child's drawing showed a green wave with eyes, captioned "Friends in the Water." The ballroom felt like a tomb, its mirrors reflecting shadows that didn't match mine. The upper deck was desolate, wind whistling through broken railings. The green light in the water wasn't bioluminescence, not with that rhythm. The captain's quarters held madness in ink, charts plotting a path to nowhere. The theater's silence was heavy, the air thick with unsaid words. The security tapes were a window to horror, faces empty as they walked to their end. The maintenance deck reeked of rot, the carvings ancient, not human. The cargo hold was the heart of it, the glowing pool a gateway to something else. My escape was blind luck, the lifeboat a fragile shield. On land, I questioned my sanity, my mother's stories no longer just tales. The Elysium's truth is alive, waiting in the deep, calling to those who listen. I drove to the coast, the hum still in my ears, faint but persistent. The ocean looked normal, but I knew better. Every wave hid a secret, every ripple a voice. I burned my notes, but the story lives in me, a weight I can't shed. The Elysium is out there, silent, watching, its mystery unsolved.